I'm really excited to be here with you guys, and the message that I'm going to share today is something that I've been in communication with God about for the past couple weeks, so I'm just hoping that some of that communication comes out and you can find it useful in your own faith journey. Now, if you're ever in need of some advice, if you just tell people you're going to do a sermon, you're going to get more advice than you ever asked. I got all sorts of people giving me advice, and my grandpa's advice was talk about God and talk about 10 minutes. So that's what I'm going to try and do today. Now, for those of you that don't know me, my name's Adam, and I grew up in this church. I used to be down here sitting and listening to children's time ever since I was a baby, and I graduated from Cal Poly, which is a university about 3 hours south of here drive, and at Cal Poly I studied engineering, which is one of the big areas at Cal Poly, and another big area that they're famous for is agriculture, which is somewhat related to what I'm talking about today. And so, I definitely learned a lot about engineering, but just being in the area, I picked up a few things about agriculture too that I'm hoping I can weave into the story today. So when I first came to Cal Poly, I became part of this group called the Navigators, and they're a campus ministry group, sort of similar to a campus crusade or InterVarsity, and that's when I first started to take hold of my faith. I got really excited. I loved the idea of, loving God, loving people, and so I'd like to share now the scripture verse. This is a verse that I chose. It's Galatians 5:22 and 23. It says, the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against these things there is no law. Now when I look at this list, this basically sums up everything that I have ever wanted to experience and exhibit towards others. And so when I was new in my walk with God, these things were my focus. I said, I want to be loving. I want to be more patient. I want to be kind like Jesus. And so these were the things that I prayed about. I would pray every day. I said, God, would you help me to love my roommate? God, would you help me to be patient with my roommate? I'm just saying that because one of my roommates is here in the audience. And what happened was, I prayed for these things, and after a while I realized they're not true. They didn't come true. So that led me to ask the question, why? Why am I not experiencing the fruits? Isn't this what it means to be a Christian? And last week we sung this hymn, and basically the only words of the hymn were, I want to be a Christian, I want to be a Christian. And that's where I was. And that's a great start, but that alone, that's just the very first step. You say, I want to be a Christian. So I had to figure out, okay, why isn't this working? And where do I go now? What do I do? Another thing that's Cal Poly is famous for, they started this company called Jamba Juice. Right? For those of you that don't know what Jamba Juice is, it's a place where they make smoothies. They take fruit and juice and they blend it, and then they put it in this cup, and it's great. It's the greatest thing ever. Anyway, so the people that started this went to Cal Poly. And, the thing I think is great about this is, I wanted to be this fruit smoothie, the perfect blend of all the spiritual fruits. Right? And one time I was at Jamba Juice with a friend, and we're waiting, and this is the Jamba Juice in San Luis Obispo, so it's really busy, college students everywhere. And we had been waiting a while, and I said, geez, this is taking a long time. And he said, what's amazing? This is the last 10 minutes of this fruit's life cycle. He said, but most people have no idea how long it has taken and how far this fruit has come to end up in this cup. I was complaining about having to wait 5 or 10 minutes, and he said, you have no idea. And so it wasn't until later that I went back and really considered what he was suggesting. Right? So what I did is I said, okay, what I want to do is kind of trace this back. I want to figure out, okay, I want the fruit. Where does fruit come from? And then what I was going to do is apply that to spiritual fruits. So you got your Jamba Juice. Now we live in a culture of immediate gratification, of convenience. Did you know you can buy pre-cut, pre-washed apples? Right? Because I don't have time to cut or wash my But this is what we buy, right? So I'm kind of tracing it back. You got the Jamba Juice, but before that, you had some fruit that was cut up and frozen. And before that, you had something like this, like an apple, right? And before that, you had a whole bag of apples that came from who knows where. But that's the point, it came from somewhere. It probably came in a box, and that box was on a truck, and it drove, I don't know where the fruit comes from, but it came from an orchard somewhere, right? But before that, someone got to put the fruit in the box, and before that, came from a tree. Now you stop me. Now before that, someone picked it, put it in this box. But before that, there was a tree, right? This came from this. And where did this come from? A seed. A seed. So what I got down to is I want to figure out what is the root of this fruit? What produced the fruit? I want fruit. How do I do it? So what I did is I broke it down into 4 basic things that are needed to produce a plant. And the seed was the first one. Now the next thing, you need some soil. Right? Healthy soil. What else do you need? Some water? Right? These are just basics. I don't know anything about farming. I just guess. You got a hose? What else? Sunlight? Now I wanted to get a little scale here. So this is representative of the sun. It's not exactly to scale, but... Right? Okay, so we're trying to grow a plant here. What do we need? Dirt. We need water. We need the sun.
Time.
And time. Right? I don't think that's going to stick. Anyway, so what I decided to do is say, okay, so doing this exercise reveals to me 2 things about the way that I have been living my faith. First of all, it had been like, 6 months or a year before I started wondering, I've been praying for all these fruits. I've been praying to be loving. I've been praying to be kind. It's not working. What's going on here? This Christian thing doesn't work. So the first thing I realized is I'm incredibly impatient, and fruit probably takes a couple of years from the time you plant the seed to when you actually start seeing the tree bear the fruit. So the first thing was I didn't wait long enough. The second part was I was focused on the fruit. I was focused on the result, and I didn't have any idea, a lot of because of our culture and the way we experience fruit, I had no concept of where the fruit came from, all the things that went into producing it. And so, basically, I had been praying and begging God to give me fruit without even thinking to water the tree.